The broadcast this evening is Anuja Kapoor, spokesperson of the BJP, Anjali Rai, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, joining us, Nayan Parekh, who is an educationist, live with us, and Professor Akashdeep Muni, who is an educationist, also on the broadcast this evening. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Parekh, it is about the future of lakhs of children who are studying in various schools in the national capital.
बीमारी होगी हाँ
MCD schools are there for so long and she just imagine that she has to be there.
Professor Akashdeep Muni, 1 second. Let Nayan Parekh now respond. Mr. Nayan Parekh, please.
Definitely.
All of you, please calm down. Let Mr. Nayan Parekh now respond. Okay. Professor Muni, yes. Mr. Nayan Parekh.
Yes. Harsha, I agree that these conditions are not acceptable. And I think even Anuja Kapoor, in what she's saying that this condition is not acceptable. But let us also look at what we have in India. In India, we have a serious challenge in terms of government education, unlike United States of America or any other developed economy. So what happens? All of us who are on this debate on this channel, हमारे किसी के भी बच्चे म्युनिसिपल स्कूल में है, सरकारी स्कूल में है, तो सरकारी स्कूलों की हालत इंडिया में खराब है, and we all know that. And I think we all together need to kind of work at it. Now, just to single out these 4 schools, yes, they are the topic of today. But I think essentially I would like to look at a larger picture, and I would want Anuja Kapoor to also kind of comment on that, and on which kind of, we all see that not this school or that school, not MCD or government school, but government schools overall in India have a challenge. And हमारे यहाँ जो education government schools में होता है वो बहुत ही निम्न कक्षा का है, और इसीलिए हमारे किसी के बच्चे हम लोग government school में नहीं भेजते हैं. हम debate कुछ भी करेंगे, but would we send our children to government schools? If not, how do we together create a situation where not just these 4 schools or 5 schools, but all the schools of the government come to a different level? I know so many friends of mine in developed countries who would put their children only in the best local, municipal or county schools. Why? Because they are good schools. They are supposed to be the best schools in the country. Can we together, and I would feel that AAP and BJP and all together, and educationists and you as a channel, how do we take this as a challenge, not only to single out these 4 schools, but schools issue in general? And what all do we need to do? I think the issues that we are facing here, like security has to be there. Now, I don't think anybody would disagree to that, not BJP, not any party. We have a common, I think, interest that all of us look at. कि भाई बच्चों के, मेरे बच्चे जहाँ पढ़ रहे हैं वहाँ बिना सिक्योरिटी के चलेगा, वहाँ दारू की बोतलें चलेगी. I think वो अनुजा कपूर को भी नहीं चलेगी, वो मुझे भी नहीं चलेगी, वो किसी और को भी नहीं चलेगी, आपको भी नहीं चलेगी. So, and in that common agenda, I think we are all together. And I think, how do we do that? That is the real situation. And I would like that we spend some time on that. Are we allocating sufficient funds for education? If we don't allocate enough funds, we would have challenge of midday meal, we would have challenge of not sufficient number of school teachers, we would have challenge of school buildings which are in dilapidated condition, कि बच्चे कहीं जाके गिर ना जाए, उसमें दब ना जाए, और हमारे बाकी के CCTV कैमरा ना हो. I think these are all showing to, one is paucity of funds, second is paucity of sincerity. We would all need to understand that we would need to improve the school. We need to think that if we have to put our children in this school, would we accept these kind of standards? And we don't need any NCW or any other agency to tell us that these are not acceptable, because it is not acceptable to any of us. And therefore, I think let us together work at how do we bring our schools to a basic standard. And for that, none of this is acceptable, whether it is by Delhi government, whether it is by MCD, or whether it is in Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. But municipal schools education standard across India is very poor. And because all of us put our education focus only on private schools, हमारे ministers के बच्चों के लिए हम लोग कंपल्सरी कर सकते हैं कि वो सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में पढ़ेंगे. जो भी गवर्नमेंट में नौकरी करते हैं, would we make it compulsory for them कि उनके बच्चे प्राइवेट स्कूल में नहीं पढ़ सकते? Do it, and all the schools will improve. At least all the government schools will improve, because मंत्री को खुद को भी अपने बच्चे सिर्फ और सिर्फ म्युनिसिपल स्कूल में या सरकारी स्कूल में रखने हैं. Let us make some structural changes. Let us make some basic norms. And I'm sure all these schools would come up to a level where we don't have to debate these kind of basic things. कि भाई टॉयलेट तो चाहिए ना, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर चाहिए ना, सिक्योरिटी चाहिए ना, ये इसके बगैर कैसे चलेगा?
Nayan Parekh, you know, that is the sad reality. When we want to have a serious debate on the future of the children in our country, this is what happens. Political blame game. Nayan Parekh, this is what is happening since morning right now also. When I wanted the BJP to demolish, if indeed it is a false claim by DCW, you have heard what the BJP spokesperson had to say. And I want to give you the last word, Nayan Parekh, now. Because if this will continue, how will the situation really improve for the children of our country? How will, you know, we have a prosperous India?
I think you are correct that we need to go beyond our party. So if Anuja Kapoor says that just because government of Delhi is also doing a bad job of MCD is acceptable, no, it is not acceptable to us. I am saying that even if both of them are doing a good job, but rest of the country is not doing a good job, it is not acceptable to us. I feel that we would all be glad if the overall situation of government education in India improves. Please understand that half of India lives in kind of 5,000 to 10,000 rupees a month kind of income. Now, they can't afford to send their children to private schools. And therefore, government schools standard across India would decide as to how our next generation would be, how our new Bharat would come up, would depend on how we educate students in public domain, not in private schools. And therefore, we must do everything that is in our hands. We have to make funds available. We have to have people who are sincere and honest. People who would not say that just because somewhere else it is happening, it is okay that it is happening here. Somebody will have to say, कि मैं नहीं चलाऊंगा भाई, मेरे यहाँ से standard improve होंगे, बाकी की दुनिया में भले कुछ भी हो. I think that kind of determination that I want to improve the standard of education, and I'll do it with my school. If it is MCD, if it is government of Delhi, if it is Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, we will have to start.
Instead of an